the time that we were in the coffee house, and this was like 4 or 5 years ago, man, and I think we were both in a position where we were just trying to figure out things, figuring out which direction we were gonna go in life. But I remember the story that you told me when you were working in the grocery store, and it was just like it wasn't fulfilling or giving you what you were looking for in life. And to see your growth from, I think that was 2019 until now, it's like we both have grown together, and we both have seen each other, have each of our own successes, to where it's like iron sharpens iron. And the important thing is people have to understand that the people that you are around will either motivate you or put you down. And I think for you and I, Grant, we've been, two people that have been able to sharpen each other's irons, and also motivating each other to continue on this path of greatness that we're on. So with that being said, I'm curious to know, and some folks, may not know all of your story, but what inspired you to pursue a career in entertainment, and how did you get your start as an MC, as a DJ, stand-up comedian, all of those things?
Yeah, man. The way we talk about it, man, just talking to mentors and even people that know me from like a young age, like it's been said they're like either you're born with it or you're not. So some people just got it, some people don't. Not trying to toot my horn, but you just know sometimes. Like Michael Jordan, I'm sure he knew that he was supposed to be an athlete. Picasso knew he was supposed to do, or you have to go through certain things to get to that level, right? For me, I've always been dancing when I was a kid. I grew up in church. Praise thee, the Lord, hallelujah. Always being a little comedian, PK. So I'm always running around doing stuff I'm not supposed to, but you could just tell. Dancing, picked it up naturally. Singing, dancing, one of those things where you get to be yourself and express yourself at a young age. And it just grew into something where started to get into competitions in high school, talent shows, and then it started growing. Started doing more comedy later on at the end of my high school career, and now it's like where I get to college. Now I'm finding my voice. And so during all this time, Kendrick, it's like we got to pay the bill somehow, right? So that's where the grocery store, being a supervisor, and you have to work that balance of okay, I'm not where I want to be right now, but I got to make sure that I'm doing everything I need to do to make sure I'm alive. I got the Maslow hierarchy of needs. You got to get the security first. So I was hustling a lot. I think one day my friend, she wanted me to move to LA with them. So that's where the whole story begins, where I'm like, okay, I'm doing comedy at the time. I'm working at a grocery store. I'm emceeing like three different like local like sports things, and it got to the point where I was just like, okay, I'm seeing the tipping of the scale. I'm spending more time doing what I love to do versus working at that grocery store. And so now it's just like, okay, I think I'm ready to dive all in and just go for it. So once again, I think patience is the key to this story right here. I rushed and I needed a subleaser so I could move to LA and take all my savings and do that, cliche dream of I'm going to make it in LA. Long story short, my roommate that I did not do a background check on, he was bipolar and he was alcoholic, and that's a bad combination right there. 1-2 punch right there. Long story short, I get home from work one day, and then the whole place is just trash, bro. Whole place is trash. I didn't have them on the lease. I was kind of just doing a little, you don't tell, I don't tell, you just pay me and you stay here, right? And all that fell back on me. So the money I initially had saved up for LA had to go towards there. So that put me kind of rock bottom. I had to move back in with the rents, with the parents. I had to abide by their rules. So I'm grown. I'm out of college. I'm like, oh, this ain't gonna work. So, but the biggest quote I would like to say is, a setback is just a way for you to get back to a comeback, right? So at that point, living with my parents, I was like, okay, I love y'all, but this ain't gonna work. I needed to find somewhere to express who I was. I needed a way to save money. And I remember my friend was like, Grant, have you ever thought about doing cruise line? And I'm like, no, I kind of brushed it off. I wasn't really worried about that. Around that time, I was doing auditions with the Boston Celtics. I was trying to be an MC on land. But at that time, it just wasn't meant to be. And, that happened a year later. So it got to a point where I'm like, okay, let's just see what all this is about. And I was on YouTube videos and just doing my research. They're like, you actually save money because you don't have to pay for rent. when you are on Carnival. Everything's paid for. All you got to do is just show up and show out. So it's one of those things where I was like, okay, I'm all in. Let's go. So I apply for it. I immediately get the job. But then once again, patience. Everything happens for a reason. Um, I start getting a little sick, and it's not.